going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check. We're here to talk about Battleground Las Vegas, and that is Jake fucking DeMarco. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on, my soupy sexy friend? We went ahead and went from the Apex tonight, and let me tell you, the Apex Predator, I'm feeling it. I like the arena. I loved everything about the presentation, the setup, the show. I'm here, I'm pumped, I'm ready to go.
I have had a few Smirnoffs. It's been a good night. I agree with you in the presentation. I like the look of the building. Probably the only negative that I have to say about tonight, I tried the whole night. I couldn't get over how small it felt. The sound was great. You told me before the show even started that they usually mic up that building pretty good. The sound was great. Yeah. The sound did not sound like it belonged with that group of fans in the arena. But the group of fans that were in the arena were enthusiastic as hell.
Yes, they are the diehards. So
yeah. Well, apparently it was a pain in the ass to get a ticket to this, which
yes. It was not as simple as many would think. You had to go ahead and essentially apply for a chance to purchase. It was almost like a background check type situation. It was weird, but I guess such an intimate thing.
Well, I guess security with the amount of UFC celebrities that were in the audience, they didn't want anybody being fucked with. I can kind of understand that.
Yeah, I can see why. It's just uncommon for a
WWE event, yeah.
Exactly.
But I mean,
usually they're front and center with the fans. So.
But we talked about this.
Unless it's the airport.
Yeah, that's true. To take off your shoes, my shoe might be a bomb.
Poor Rhea Ripley. There she is, all, drugged up, you can tell, after just having surgery and flying home or wherever she was going at that point in time. She's got,
Did something happen to Rhea Ripley? I don't know about this.
And it was just a quick video of her in the airport, and people wanted her to sign stuff, and, you could tell
fuck off.
She just, post-surgery, laid up, injured, and she was like, I'm sorry, I can't,
Probably loopy as hell.
Yeah, but she was, continually apologizing, and then more people were coming around, and again, like she said in the previous one, she's like, you guys just keep multiplying, that's why I can't do it, because it's not just one, it'll be for hundreds, and I can't not sign for one and do for you all. Yeah. And she's like, I can't even get it to work, and people were, yelling at her, you're not good for the fans, all this shit, and I'm like, you guys are just the worst piece of work ever,
Yep.
Doesn't take much, but sadly, I see why they have to do these kind of things every now and again and kind of vet who's going to these shows. Because they see on social media, we don't need this so-and-so said he's going tonight to troll, so we're not going to let him in anymore. And they've been doing that type of stuff. It's things have changed.
It shouldn't take something like Rhea Ripley just having surgery for us to say, yeah, don't do that. It should be a general thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, yes, it's part of the job, and I'm not, bringing out my violins for the wrestlers. It's part of the gig if you sign on for the gig. But travel sucks. We all know this.
Exactly. Well, typically their problem at the airport is that it's not a normal fan. It's people seeking them out by process of elimination. They have 3 people waiting at all these airports for her to sign X, Y, and Z because
and
they
it's
know...
here, sign these 10 things because I want to sell them on eBay.
That's what it is. She's like, I'll sign one thing for you, and that even is pushing it to have to deal with. So. And
don't be weird and follow them to the airports and shit. Here's my TED Talk. Don't be a weird asshole.
It's sad that we have to say these things ever,
it is.
But there's been a lot of issues of that lately with airport travel and then people finding out, they're going to be at this hotel tonight.
Yep.
So then they go ahead
it's sad
and
that we have to say it, but we do
hotel.
have to say it because, on a selfish note, think about how many more cool interactive opportunities we could have if they didn't have to worry about people being shitheads.
Yeah.
But
that's why I really appreciated what they did at WWE World. That was impressive to me because they had pretty much unfettered access to the talent. They let people get as close as they've been in a long time.
But it was an assigned spot for that, and I think that's the entire point that the wrestlers are gonna.
Oh yeah, because they said, "I'll sign anything you want. We're not going to charge it. We'll do this, that, and that.
We'll give you as much of ourselves as we can in the appropriate space and time."
Exactly.
It's not rocket science. It's really not.
You say that, but.
But anyways, getting back.
Some people can't even remember to put on deodorant. We are talking about wrestling fans, so.
It's summer, and I take the bus a lot. Can we not?
You know the pain.
I do.
I've done the
bad.
public transit.
Just don't be weird. And by the way,
when the homeless person thinks you stink, you really...
Yeah, and by the way, speaking for myself, if you get on the bus and there's only one person on the bus and the rest of the bus is empty, you don't have to sit next to that person. Speaking as that other person, it's very strange.
They want to engage in a conversation, you know.
Dude,
I want to make a friend.
I got bus stories I could tell you. No, I don't want to.
I don't begin to fathom.
Between my bus stories and my raging at Walmart, we're not going to do it because this is going to be a happy podcast, but we might have to do a non-wrestling podcast for all the ways that I can tell transit app drivers and people at Walmart to fuck off. Anyways, getting back to the Apex, like I said, it looks like a great facility. It's a nice looking facility. It's clearly a new facility. I even like the entranceway and the setup and the way they made use of stuff. For me personally, I couldn't get over the small crowd, especially on the one side coming off of Stand and Deliver Oi 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 and 12,000 people they had there, and the fact that I just read, I sent it to you earlier, but they've opened up the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto. Did I mention I'm going to that?
Yeah, no, not yet.
With a capacity of 18,000 people, and this was like 600.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
And I know, but at least they did a thing. They tried something.
They did a thing, and let's be real.
People are acting it from the AEW side like, oh, look at this. That's all they could get was a couple hundred people to go, and it's like...
You don't know what this show was for.
They chose this. This was a business arrangement.
Well, this is the ultimate thing, too, like, and we have to be real with ourselves as well. Like, this was for us, and we enjoyed it, and the people that were there enjoyed it. But this was very much...
They put the match on for fans, but it was definitely, like you said, it was corporate...
Synergy.
Yes, exactly.
It was the TKO company picnic.
You nailed it.
But
everybody's getting together and having a good time.
But you know what it was though? It did give me when I really don't want to say this, but the last couple of takeovers they did after we shut down for COVID, and they tried to make either Full Sail or the Performance Center seem as big as it could.
Yeah, it never felt.
It never felt like that, but you could tell, like, the effort was definitely there. What threw me off as well is you could see how narrow everything was around the ring, and they even mentioned it on commentary, like, we're closer to the ring than we usually are. And you could see one or two, not a criticism of the wrestlers, let me be clear, but you could see where they were stumbling over, hey, we're used to having X amount of space, and now it's this.
That was my only gripe of the night, was that some of the things were positional issues. It wasn't so much a botch, but being unfamiliar with the layout. And it was like, oh, that would have been perfectly executed, but instead, like, oh, you had a few minor gripes, and especially in the ladder match, because they were packed in like sardines there.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the same conversation as you hear when people come to WWE, because WWE's got the 20x20 ring, and a lot of other places have the 18x18. It's just like get used to a new space, but like they had to kind of do it in one night. Other than that, though, I think the building looks great. The people that were there looked like they were having a great time. Like I say, the entranceway was pretty cool. Like you were basically coming in like through a lit up crowd entrance, and everything else was pretty on point. We were welcomed to the show by Sexy Red.
Who has been loving Shawn Michaels and getting quite the follower engagement going on social media. So.
Yeah, but like
I'm not a fan of her music, but I like her personality. I'm not into the rap, that she puts out. But like I said, she's just very effervescent, and it's like an addiction in a way. Like you just can't get enough of her. Like every time I see her, she's funny, and she's so bubbly and happy that you're just like, oh, cool. I want to see this go on.
And see, here's the thing. Like again, both sides of the coin, right? Like I don't really care for her, and I don't really care like. If it's a celebrity involvement thing, it's a 50-50. If it's somebody I don't care about, yes, I'm sure they're going to come out and do some sort of interactive thing. So I didn't really care what she was going to do, but then it felt like she came out and didn't do anything. She came out, welcomed us to Battleground, twerked a bit, and then it went to the opening video.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was going to say they didn't really utilize her as they best could have.
They utilized her in the backstage with the interactions with Kelani Jordan, with the interactions with
those were better.
Lola Vice, and when she was on NXT and she was sort of like the side ring person for one night for Javon Evans and Trick Williams, like she looked cool as like a like a photo moment as part of that threesome. Not like that, you perverts.
Yeah.
Like it was cool, like that, where she kind of like brought in some star power and shared it with the wrestlers. But when they just sort of put her out there and said, "Hey, it's NXT Battleground, we're here," and then it fucked off and went to the opening video. It's like it almost felt like they had cut her off. And whether I like her or not, if she was like randomly cut off in the middle of saying something, that's not ideal.
It did feel a bit jarring and unnatural, so I will say that.
Yeah. So I think whatever they were trying to get from her, I don't know whether they got it, and that's not on them. That's not on her. I was just sort of like that was a thing that was, and I don't really know. And then there was some random twerking later on where they tried to get what's her name, the announcer chick, to twerk with them, and she's like, no. She basically turned around and then said no.
I'm good.
I can't do this. I'm good. I don't think somebody like me is allowed to do this.
Exactly.
There's a Caitlin Clark joke in there somewhere. Anyways, moving swiftly.
We covered the WNBA enough last night. I'm good, thank you.
I'm not even a basketball fan, and this shit is like in my X feed. Fuck off with all that shit. Don't tackle somebody to the floor because you don't like their melanin levels. Again, it's not that hard. Thank you for coming to my second TED Talk of the evening. But
thank you, see you, have a great day.
Thank you, fuck you, bye.
Exactly.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool, fuck you, I'm out.
We were talking about, because I'm from Connecticut, so we don't really have any major sports teams. We used to have the Whalers when I was a kid for NHL.
Okay.
But that was it. And then there was a point in time where we were going to get the Patriots. And then Goodell went ahead and bought in Foxborough the new stadium for them. So they were like, oh, forget it. We're gonna stick around and do it that way. So I was like, well, crap, that sucks. And we never got a team. So everybody always focused on college here because we had UConn Huskies and they had several undefeated seasons. And the women had that massive undefeated season where they won the title in the early 90s. And one of the biggest stars they had, her name was Rebecca Lobo, and she was massive. She was on everything, Wheaties, magazines, like you name it, she was everywhere. And then as soon as she went to the WNBA as this big deal, you never heard about her ever again.
Well, this is the thing now, like, I should say, speaking very much from the outside, right? But I hear about this chick, Caitlin Clark, because they were talking about her on a show that I watch called Normal World, which is hosted by Quarterback Garrett and Dave Landau. You guys should check it out. It's a lot of fun. But they had a sportscaster on there. She was talking about Caitlin Clark, and it's like, yeah, she's not a dude, so they can't get her for male privilege. So instead they got her for white privilege and pretty privilege. We're just making shit up now, Jake. It's Charlotte Flair in basketball form. In the fact that she's the best one there, and she gets hated for it.
And they're still crying out for nepotism, you know?
And they're still crying out, oh, she got a basketball made for her. Yeah, maybe because she's doing good. How dare she succeed in, quote-unquote, our sport. Moving swiftly on. I don't want to do this. I am not in the state to be having this conversation tonight.
I'll just keep dragging you down.
Yeah, well, it's sexy like that sometimes. Let's talk about the opening match. It's a pretty, like, it's a, what do you call it? A free pass for pay-per-views. If you're gonna have an opening match for a pay-per-view, make it a ladder match.
I was excited, you know. We got Sol Ruca and Parker. We had Meechin, Fallon Henley, Last Legend, Kelani Jordan. I don't think I forgot anybody, right?
Did you say Sol Ruca? Yeah, you said
Sol
Ruca.
Yep. So great match here. I liked when they all worked together to throw Lash on the ladder on the outside.
That was a hell of a bump.
That was a "this is awesome" chant spot. Like that was, or holy shit moment, excuse me.
Early on in the match, the one that I liked was where they had Kelani Jordan stretched out over the top of the ladder, sort of reminiscent of Jericho doing the Walls of Jericho on the ladder. That definitely wasn't a Walls of Jericho.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was incredible.
But yeah, I went in this, and I think you and I talked about this briefly before the show. It's like, it's gonna come down to Fallon Henley and Sol Ruca, because those are the two next big ones that are breaking through from
and Sol hit that X Factor on Parker off the side of the ladder, and that looked, woof. Damn.
The Soul Snatcher is such a good move, man.
It's such a great move, and I will forever call it the X Factor. I'm sorry, but
what the flip into the cutter?
Yeah, that's how I go.
That's not an X
I know
Factor is with the face buster thing that they did
through
on the
the
side of the
yeah,
ladder.
exactly.
But the Soul Snatcher it's the spiritual sequel to the RKO as
No,
far
I
as
was
being
talking
identical.
about the ladder. I was saying I'll forever call it the X Factor.
Oh yeah. No, but the
Yeah,
Soul Snatcher,
yeah,
the
her finisher. That's an
flipping cutter
incredible
thing.
finish.
Everybody
Yeah,
was saying that she was gonna try and do that off a ladder, and I'm like, I think that would
I
be
don't
really
see how
cool.
they would have managed. I mean, they could, but that would be like, the timing on that. Like I said, because the way you'd have to get the cutter just in time for the flip, like it'd be.
People were saying that she was gonna reach up and grab the hoop that the belt is on and use that to pull herself up into the flip, which would be good, but
That would be cool.
it would be really cool, but then I have to put my nerd hat on and be like, if she's close enough to grab the hoop, why wouldn't she just grab the belt?
Yeah, oh, I had to stop the opponent because they had just as much of a chance to
Well,
grab it, like
fair.
something. I don't know. They could do that, but
But like it was one
still,
of
I like what they gave us. The X Factor off the side of the ladder looked great, and
a lot of the stuff on the outside looked pretty sick. This is I hate to be critical, but this is where a lot of the stuff's a lot closer than it normally is. Stuff came into play.
yeah,
I mean, Jada Parker was in there, and Lash Legend was in there. I like Lash Legend as a character. I in the ring, she's a big presence in the ring, and
yeah,
she has some physicality to her. But again, NXT is meant to be the developmental. A lot of these are like the NIL people and whatever. So I'm not being a dick here, but she's got an awkwardness to her that probably comes from her being taller and like longer in body, however you want to say that.
yeah,
But
lanky, yeah.
yeah,
So,
lanky's a good word, but like there's an unsureness to it's like when you use this is a shitty comparison, but like when Big Show was in matches and he was clearly the only guy that was his size and he was kind of like looking around to see, okay,
yeah,
where am I in proportion to everybody else? And it's not, oh my god, you're so shit, how dare you be awkward. They have an awkward job, but it's sort of like when it gets to that awkward, like, okay, as a watcher, I'm almost awkward with you now.
yeah,
It
exactly.
takes you out a little bit, but I mean all of them killed it. Like you say, the big spot where all five of them pressed her out onto the ladder on the outside was
Yeah,
cool. The fact that they all like were gawking at what they did, and then they realized, oh shit, there's still five of us. We still need to fight.
we still have to get through here. Yeah,
But yeah, let's talk about for a second the fact that it was Kalani Jordan.
I was pretty much sold with the win. Not who I thought was going to win. Like I said, I really thought they were going to go with Sol Ruka or even Henley maybe, but I was not expecting Kehlani Jordan. So that was
Well, that was my way of looking at it too. Like I was always looking at it from the perspective of, you know what, it would be really nice for Kalani Jordan because her initial story, and this is going to come into play later on in the evening, but before Dana Brooke got let go, she was sort of
and became what's her name?
Ash by Elegance.
Ash by Elegance. What a crazy name to have. Oh,
It's
God,
really
I hate
cool
it.
for me because the guy that used to run Destiny, George Menzies, the Iceman, is
Yeah.
now playing her manager in TNA.
Oh, that's him.
And yeah, and
Okay, that makes sense now. I didn't
Yeah.
put the correlation
he
together.
calls himself like the personal concierge or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, no, he's really really cool. If you remember tail end of last year, the very last Impact pay-per-view before it became TNA again actually came from the Don Koloff Arena, which is where Destiny usually is.
Yeah.
And I
remember you telling me
I
about
got to
that.
sit and chill with him through the whole main event, which was
Badass.
no, what the hell? I'm trying to think I think it was
Yeah.
Josh Alexander versus Zack Sabre Jr.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But
There
I got
you
to
go.
sit and chill and like shoot the shit wrestling with him for like the entire main event, which was
How
very
you
very
can't beat
cool.
that?
So it's kind of
So
cool that
badass.
he's now a character in TNA and he's managing Dana Brooke, who's now Ash by Elegance, who we're going to talk about later on. But anyways, but no, Dana Brooke was sort of like playing mentor to Kalani Jordan,
Yeah.
and then she got let go, and Kalani Jordan was just kind of like left out in the woods
Yeah,
for a
well,
bit, and then she did a bunch of offense for a while that was sort of reminiscent of Dana Brooke, like the handspring elbow and this particular way that she does like a swanton and stuff like that. But like she's really fun to watch. She came up second in the women's breakout tournament when Lola Vice won it. And took me a lot longer to get into Lola Vice, but I was really pulling for Kalani Jordan through
Yeah.
that because she's got that. We talked recently about Willow Nightingale, how Willow Nightingale is sort of like the next version of the NXT Bayley.
Yes.
Kalani
Yeah.
Jordan has a
The
little bit of that as
everything.
well, like that sort of like projected positivity, whatever. I want to say like New Day, but that's
Yeah,
slightly
but
different.
that's essentially what it is, though. I mean,
And I mean,
that
she's
forced
also like,
positivity.
if you look at the other people in the match, she's also the smallest person in the match. So there's a little bit of an underdog story just with that. But I was saying going into the match that it'd be really nice if it was Kalani Jordan, but it's probably going to go to Sol Ruca or Fallon Henley. Fallon Henley on the other side, this is yet another thing that she's kind of failed to get to, so they got to be careful that they don't make her heel turn come off as pretty
Yeah.
useless.
Or just get completely forgotten about.
Because here's the thing. We saw a video later on in the night for Brooks Jensen, but Brooks Jensen, Josh Briggs, and Fallon Henley were sort of a trio, and then they all split up, and then like separately they've all become assholes.
Yeah, and that was one of my favorite things of the night too. Was the Josh Briggs video, because it did such a good job recapping while going ahead and telling you what's going on, but not making you feel like an idiot if you already knew the stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a pee break for me because I had already seen that video package last Tuesday.
Yeah,
I stepped out.
I watched highlights of everything, so it worked out.
But I just think it's so funny that as a trio, they were like a positive, like good guy trio, and then they all split off and they all became assholes. So if they're all going to be assholes, why don't they team back up again? But I mean, Brooks Jensen is on social media right now pretending that he's been kicked out of the building and saying maybe I should go make an impact somewhere else.
He's been teasing, somewhere else will take me if you guys are getting me thrown out of the building and no one's answering me, and
all that fun stuff. I just thought,
and I like a few of the news sites that really bit into it, thinking it was,
I mean, it could be like the door is fully open now. We're
it is open, but
later,
I'm saying if this is certainly kayfabe at this point.
No, it is, but it is a way of saying.
I'm saying there were dirt sheets being like, oh my God, look at him go against Triple H and his boss, and he's being defined. I'm like, you guys are active idiots.
Well, he put in his Twitter bio for like a day. It's like, for booking information, email me at whatever.
Exactly. So, and he was being legitimate about it, but
yeah,
it's work. Like, that was the point behind it, and people just couldn't accept that, I guess.
Yeah. But no, Kalani Jordan getting the win here, really cool. I'll be interested to see who she goes up against. I'm pretty sure it'll be Fallon Henley, because she'll come out at some point and be like, well, that should have been me, roddy rah. I mean, Lash Legend is involved in other stories, like she's got the thing going on with Trick, she's part of the Metaphor. The rest of the Metaphor wasn't there. That was interesting. I thought they would have been at least out there like cheering her on. They were people on social media were calling her the Meta One because nobody else was out there with her. But and then Jada Parker is doing stuff with OTM, so they've all got other directions to go. I don't think we're gonna get Sol Ruca and Kalani Jordan face versus face, if I'm honest. So Fallon Henley going and being the first challenger is the logical thing. Or the outside chance is always we got Julia coming, and apparently Julia's making her debut in Toronto. Did I mention I'll be there?
Sucks that she got hurt, but it works out for your benefit.
Yeah, it does. But everybody's kind of assuming that she's going to be dropped immediately into an NXT Women's Championship feud. Well, there's 2 belts to go for now.
Yeah.
And if you want to say that, hey, like, our main title is our main title, but this new title is important too, have the brand new debuting superstar set their sights on that one instead.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to look over the fence too much here, but Will Ospreay picking up the not the Intercontinental, the Continental or the International, whatever it is, championship, as opposed to directly going for the world title, which he's doing now anyway.
Yeah.
But like a big huge name, Julia's a big huge name. I personally don't know this, but I go by what I'm told. And if somebody big comes in and sets their sights on the other title, it immediately makes the other title more prestigious. Like, this title is just getting off the ground. I couldn't get in on this title at the ground floor, so I'll get in at the second floor. Could be a decent story to tell. Plus, we don't know what's going to happen TNA wise with the main women's championship. I don't know. I'm kind of running out of points for the first match. Everybody
Yeah,
showed
I
out
mean
in the
that's pretty much
match.
everything.
I know it sounds like I shit on Lash, which wasn't my intention, but I think everybody did good. I
You know,
was
I don't think that
watching.
was your intention at all there. I mean, it just and she took the great bump, but besides that, there's not much that I enjoy with her currently.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Sadly.
When the five of them pressed her out, like the fall that she took on the ladder looked like it fucking sucked.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That fall was
Yeah.
great. You know, it was like holy shit.
I was for the first little bit of the show, I was watching along the live stream with the Wrestling for Life guys. Go check them out. I've shared them a bunch on my social media. But one thing they kept on pointing out through this first match, and I started to notice it more and more, is they kind of broke the pattern of a ladder match where like 2 or 3 people are in there at a time and like 4 or 5 other people are just lying around. Nobody really had a whole lot of lying around time
No,
in this
certainly
match.
not.
So I think as far as keeping it consistently hectic, I think they knocked that out of the park. As far as making you think it was going to be this person, that person, this person, that person. Mia Yim just going in there being totally willing to wreck herself too. I shouldn't leave her out of the conversation, but yeah, Kalani Jordan is the historic first ever NXT Women's North American Champion. Nice headline-worthy way to start the show.
Yeah.
And we kind of got to cool down a little bit. I think you and I agree on this. This was just kind of a nice outing with
new
Frazier,
belt.
with Frazier and Axiom versus
New belt to open the show, and then we get right into a pretty good tag match, like you said. Nothing superb, nothing out of the ordinary for as far as how NXT delivers its tag matches. I think my biggest hang-up is that Frazier and Axiom are good in the ring. There's just not a lot of things that I love about them currently, which isn't entirely on them, but I'm just... I don't know. There's not a lot of character work right now with them, and I'm kind of lacking a reason to root for them. I feel like so. Hopefully, in the future, you know, the belts aren't making them more of a champion. So maybe we'll see something else.
We were talking about this while the match was happening, so I don't want to get too repetitive. The argument that what they do in the ring speaks for themselves differs from wrestler to wrestler.
Yes.
For right now. I think I would put Frazier and Axiom in the category of what they do in the ring speaks to me enough, and it's just a matter of they sort of sit back with their belts and wait until the story tells them who their next challenger is. For now, it's fine. I like what they do in the ring enough. As I mentioned to you offline, the best of 5 match that they had against each other that led to them being a tag team is insane, and if we get back to that, that's absolutely fine. I do like the fact that Gallows and Anderson are basically down in NXT being bullies and wrestling like bullies in the sense of like, we can play around with these guys. You know, there's not much they can do. Like, look at the size of us and look at the size of them. And what made that work for me, at least in this match, is for the first half of the match, they were right. For the first half of the match, they were wrecking them.
Exactly.
Swatting them out.
Tearing them apart.
But
piece by piece, and we saw that, as we said, this is their first ever PLE, and since Crown Jewel, and it's been a while that we haven't seen them, so they had a lot to show off, and they didn't get a ton of time here, but they got as much as I feel like they could have out of the time they were given. If they really wanted to go to like that next gear, they could have given them a couple more minutes, but I mean, from pretty much a suicide dive onwards, everything that happened, the choke slam on the apron, going through the top rope, the super TKO was great. But, I don't know, I wish they gave that a little bit more time to breathe, because they went right from the super TKO just to the top rope again. And I was like, all right, but it's just because they had to hurry, it felt like.
Yeah, but it was... Like I say, a good outing for both of them, and that sounds like a cliche as I say it, but you kind of had where the champions were going to retain and it was going to be business as usual and they would find a new challenger, or the OC could have won and then we have to go through the whole awkward thing of, okay, how do we integrate that with what they're doing on SmackDown with the AJ Styles thing? Do they show up at Clash at the Castle as NXT champions, and how off-putting is that? I said it in my preview. If Michin had won the North American Championship and these guys won the tag belts, and AJ Styles goes into Clash at the Castle with an entire team behind him holding gold, I could see that being an image that they would want as a one-time, hey, everybody else in the OC has gold, maybe AJ's going to get it too. And then quickly dispersing it off to whoever the next tag title holders are in the next North America. But that's a lot to move around. That's a lot to take off of NXT.
It is, but it isn't. I feel like they really could, like you said, they could have made it something worthwhile here, especially with the story they're telling. It would have fit with the OC, and just for a month to make it seem like, oh my God, especially since they said Cody's coming to NXT, they announced that later on. That's how you get them there, That's how you work on it. And I don't know. I feel like they really could have made quite the difference here. I felt like they left a bit on the table with it because, like I said, Axiom, they're okay. I just don't think, they need the belts, nor are they making the belts any better. And I feel like there's other people that could benefit from this. And you're like, oh, Gallows and Anderson? Well, no. But you need to get them on a heel so they could build up the next big team, the next big underdogs, the ones to work for it.
My problem with that is in NXT at the moment, not that they don't treat tag team wrestling as important, but right now their options are go with Chase U, who have internal problems right now. You go with Gallus, who are rumored to go up to the main roster just in time for Clash at the Castle. You go with the family, who I would like to see eventually, because it used to be, when it was just the two of them, you had Tony D and Stax going for the tag titles, and that was a lot of fun. But now you've got Tony D, who wants to go for singles gold at some point, and right now has the Heritage Cup, which is hilarious. And you've got the new member in Luca Crucifino, so now the tag team will be Stax and Crucifino. I would love to see that at some point, but right now they're more focused on Tony D holding his title. Yeah. So, unless you do something where, and I don't just want to throw two more random people together, but the two people I can think of right off the top of my head are Wesley, who we're going to talk about in a second, and Javon Evans. Yeah. Because Javon Evans came out of the blocks running and making himself look like $1 million. So, love to see something for him. And I think you team him up with a guy like Wesley because of their similarity in styles and whatever. But up until this point, Wesley's whole success story is everybody thought of him as a tag team guy, and now he's successfully breaking out as a singles guy. You kind of throw him in, kind of like when they teamed up Jey Uso with Cody Rhodes. It was a lot of fun, but you were kind of shooting in the foot the idea that he's finally breaking out and finally going on his own. So you could say put him on Gallows and Anderson and then have the next big team come and take the belts off of them, but I don't see at this particular moment who that next big team is. There's a lot of potential and possibility, but no one set of names that I could point to right now. Whereas if you say in the last match, the North American Championship, well, who's the next two big names that they look like they want to push? Fallon Henley and Sol Ruca. I could pull those names right off the top of my head. I can't do that with the men's tag team division at the moment. So leaving the belts where they are, kind of in status quo, it's not the exciting answer, but
it works.
It kind of makes sense. And in all fairness, this match could have been on a weekly episode of NXT.
Sadly, yeah.
Yeah.
That's really what we came down to there. It was just nothing spectacular, and this show had a lot of great moments, so I felt like, yeah, it's good to have a bit of a cool down, but
I mean, especially after a spectacle like a ladder match, I can very much understand where they put this, and considering the next one was the NXT Underground, you've got two big spectacles, have a bit of breathing room in the middle, and that's no kind of bad thing either. That's not a knock on either team. It's just sometimes that's your job on the card.
Exactly. I know, and that's the thing with NXT, because there's only 5 matches typically, you really do run out of options of a cool down moment, and that's why it is all cylinders firing constantly, and I understand what they're going for, But, like you said, the problem is that one of the matches gets taken down a peg no matter what. Yeah. And the tag titles used to be one of the main focuses, if not the main focus for a lot of things. So to see it, fall the prestige level down so far is disheartening.
Although I will say, if I want to be totally fair and, look across the aisles, etc., I think NXT, Raw, SmackDown, AEW, I don't think any tag team division is knocking it out of the park right now.
No,
I think
certainly not.
I think that's pretty fair.
WWE's belts, even though they've split them, they've gotten a little bit better with the two different teams that they have working together. But
yeah,
you got the faces in Miz and R-Truth, and then you've got the heels on the side with Waller and Theory. So
I am interested in Waller and Theory versus DIY when we get there. But and I'm looking across all companies right now. That's the only tag team feud that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I say, decent outing, but it definitely was the cool down, because the next thing we had up was the NXT Underground with Lola Vice and Shayna Baszler, and holy shit, bud.
And I love these, and this was actually reminiscent of the one that I liked last time with Matt Riddle, and it's like Thatcher gave us some great outings too, but I enjoyed this from start to finish. I like the presentation, especially being in the UFC, building. Mm-hmm. Being there in the Apex, it gave it more of a big fight feel. And yeah. Shayna did great with the Bloodsport match, and they both shined here. They used a lot of smoke and mirrors to get themselves into spots where they could pull off what looked like devastating maneuvers without really hurting each other, a la wrestling, but they did it in a hardcore environment without actually using weapons. Shayna's head went to the steel steps. We had quite a few moments where it was
when she went to do the running knee shot and then capped herself against the commentary desk.
Yep.
And then that became the story for 3. I don't know if you noticed this.
She got her knee into the commentary desk and then her head knocked her out for the finish into the stairs. That was like...
I love the fact that her white gear was white all the way down to the bottom, except at the bottom it was splattered red, like she had literally stepped on somebody's head.
Yes.
I thought that was such an interesting, because she's not a kick-based person. She does a lot of she's the submission magician. She's the queen of spades. She's whatever. I think of her as a striker, not necessarily a kicker. So to have gear made that looks like you've just stomped somebody's head in, I mean, it's a little American History X, but I think we can avoid that. There was one spot, and it was
also really quick, because you saw with the outfits as well. Lola Vice had white on. Oh no, excuse me. That was next match with Jordan Grace. No, but Baszler with the white looked good. And later on, I was going to say Jordan Grace wearing the white too, with her blood mouth incident, whether it was her nose or her mouth. That added to the look too. So
yeah, and it's funny because you always hear that it was from an old Seth Rollins interview that Vince McMahon hated white gear.
Mm-hmm.
So
he despised the look of it.
I don't know why. I don't know. White gear is awesome. Not always. I mean, not everything works always, but white gear is usually, because the ultimate wrestling thing is the Stone Cold Steve Austin, black trunks, black boots.
Yeah.
Or at least, and everybody's wrestling gear has a little bit of dark in it because wrestling is violence, it's dark, it's whatever the case may be, whatever you want to say about the imagery of it, but you don't think of white. So anytime you see white gear, it's awesome. But I thought the white gear with the blood spatter type of design on the pants was a little subconscious message almost, and I thought that was really good. And Lola Vice came out, shaking her ass and then kicking ass. So
exactly, and I like how she does that. She's not always, hey, I'm in stripper mode, but she also does it to show off. She's that cocky, confident, cool kind of thing.
Well, it's the touchdown dance or whatever.
Yes, exactly. It's a celebration. It's not being a whore. And on top of it, one of the things I appreciate too is the logical story here. They basically made it seem like, it's not just that Vice was better, it's that she got lucky. And this way, again, in defeat, Baszler doesn't look terrible. She went ahead and she goes for the kick, and when she was going for the punt kick, she hits herself into the announce desk, and that's one spot, so then they focus on the knee, and then afterwards, she sends her into the steel steps, and then she goes for the spinning back fist, and she gets her head hit into the steps, and it's like, oh my god, that's it. And hey,
I did like when Baszler went nuts and started just taking out all the random people on the outside.
Yeah.
It was like,
Oh, yeah.
for a minute I was like, that doesn't make any sense, and then I was like, it's Shayna Baszler. She can do whatever she wants.
She's about as unhinged as you're gonna get.
I did like the fact that there was a submission at one point, and I think it might have been the first attempt at the Karafuda clutch, where they basically went off the edge of the ring into everybody.
Yeah.
There was a spot somewhere in the middle. I can't remember what had just happened. Like, one of them had just been knocked off the edge, and the other one was waiting in the ring. And I thought, and I'm not calling for interference in every match, and I'm not trying to stick TNA involvement in every single match.
No,
but I think just because of the type of match that it was, a run-in by Masha Slamovich would have been awesome.
Yeah, and that would have fit, too. Certainly.
Anyways, I think your microphone's doing something funny, bud.
Can you hear me now better? No?
There we go.
All right.
Thought you fell off a cliff for a second there. I thought it was really good. I thought for a minute towards the end they were going to give it to Baszler and set up a rematch, maybe in Toronto, because I
did think for a second the same as well, and that's what impressed me about this, the fact that they were able to make you believe. Because I almost wish they did a little bit more with the TNA side of things and making you think Jordynne Grace could win, but I'm still happy she got to compete in the first place. So, I mean, beggars can't be choosers entirely here.
I am really glad, and another thing that I mentioned in the preview, as I wasn't able to have you join me at that time, this is the second sort of performance center born gimmick that NXT had to take to sort of, hey, we can do this on a pay-per-view. They've done it with the NXT Underground, just like they did it with the Iron Survivor. I think the Iron Survivor is a fantastic fucking concept. I think the way that they took what Shane McMahon did with Raw Underground and made it actually work and actually feel legitimate.
Well, come to find out, Shane had a lot of great ideas, and it was just his father not allowing him to put those things into motion. But
you know what it is? On Raw, the way Raw was at the time, I don't think it would have been treated as seriously, and even if it was treated seriously, it wouldn't have fit.
No, it wouldn't have, but they could have done certain things, I think, to condition the audience and make it fit, and they were never going to give it that chance, so sadly.
Yeah. There was rumors at one point that they were going to bring in like Bruce Buffer to do the announcing for this match because it's so UFC-like, or they were going to...
Hey, I'm glad they're getting those rumors and people are speculating about crazy stuff, because if you're hearing those things, people aren't bitching, that's it.
Well, somebody shared an idea online right as we were going into the main event, and I'm not going to skip to that, but the whole thing was because, we've already got an NXT, or sorry, I can speak, I swear. A TNA champion challenging a WWE or an NXT champion. There's one really good former TNA champion who's from Toronto, and a lot of people were speculating that whoever won out of Ethan Page or Trick Williams would have stood face-to-face with Josh Alexander. Now, am I incredibly biased? And would this check off a lot of my Spaz Phoenix bucket list as far as Destiny goes? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
The fact that didn't happen, it doesn't hurt my feelings, but it wouldn't have hurt my feelings if it did either, because Josh Alexander is a fucking wrestling machine.
He is a beast.
But this is where I kind of want to say this, right? Because we didn't get nearly as many surprises tonight as I thought we were going to have, but we have to be careful, and I say we as wrestling fans in general, when we start speculating about all these things that could happen, and then we get
working yourself into a shoot,
and then we get disappointed. We shouldn't be disappointed because it was never given to us. It was just ideas that we had, which is why, like, when we get to the what I said in my preview about Grace and Roxanne, the whole idea that, oh my God, it's NXT working with TNA, and it's an NXT champion versus a TNA champion, and oh my God, what are the companies going to do? What are the companies going to do? You're kind of missing the point of, we're going to get a kick-ass match between Roxanne Perez and Jordynne Grace.
Exactly.
But we'll get to that when we get to that. We'll talk about something else first, unless you have anything else you want to say about the Underground. I just think it was a great outing. And I'm happy.
I really enjoyed it. I love that they pack people around the ring still, and the whole feel fit with the UFC crowd, element. I loved it.
I made the analogy not that long ago that NXT Underground is what a lumberjack match should be.
Yeah.
Because lumberjack match is always like, oh, who's on the outside? Are they bad guys or good guys? Are they siding with the face or the heel? But you put entirely anonymous people around the outside of the ring, and it's just a matter of either get them back in the ring or just be there to like heat up the atmosphere, like the fight atmosphere, almost like Fight Club.
Yeah.
Like the movie Fight Club,
absolutely.
when it's like, okay, two people are fighting, but it's a whole mob of people involved in the fight, and I think that's what does it. But yeah, as much as I want to tip my hat to Lola Vice, I do have to tip my hat to Shayna Baszler as well, because we're getting old school NXT Shayna Baszler. And not to be repetitive, I like the fact that we brought this concept to a pay-per-view and not just made it something you tuck away on a weekly show.
Yeah.
You know what else is really dangerous? After we finish with the Underground, we'll get back to some regular wrestling, except we won't, because Obafemi killed everybody.
He just ate everybody alive. Holy God. I mean, they made him look how almost should have looked. You know, this is how Big Show wishes he was booked as a giant. They don't oversell it like he's completely indestructible, a la the Great Khali, and they also don't make him look like a gigantic bitch like Otis either. You know, Otis is massive, yet he cowers in fear to Chad. You know, things like that. It wasn't questionable.
And it's the opposite. Once again, I have to specify, I'm not shooting on Lash Legend here, but this is somebody that's absolutely not made awkward by their size.
Exactly.
He's a terrifying dude with what he does, but what I think is more terrifying about his presence is he doesn't even seem impressed with what he's doing. Like most people that do a power move, either they've got that shocked look of, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that, like, you know, John Cena AAing 3 people, or you get the more cocky version of that, which is, you know, sort of lean back on the rope for a second and say, yeah, I just did that cool thing. He doesn't seem fazed by the things that he's doing.
No.
And then
sadly.
when you see what he's doing, that's kind of terrifying. Like he's like your friend that has a small apartment and a huge dog.
Yes.
That doesn't know what like
Doesn't know what to do.
he used Wes Lee as a weapon so much. And he just like a lot of people do that whole, I'm going to catch you in the air and I'll turn it into a power bomb. But, like, Wes Lee went for the Meteora. I mean, he does it properly. He's not Sasha Banks. But, like, he didn't even, like, grab him and turn it into a power bomb. He just shoved him down.
And just held him down. There was one where he hit him, Wes hit over with a cardiac kick, and then he gets a good pinfall. And I was like, oh, that was a good, you know, near fall. And then Oba hits Joe shortly after that with a clothesline to the outside, which I thought was going to break the top rope. Like, holy cow. Then we get Coffee and Wolfgang running out. They're ganging up on Oba, and then Gallus is going after Oba. And, you know, it was just like, we're getting all this on the outside. And Coffee goes and hits Wes Lee with the Miro Salt there and the flying knife, straight edge strike, and get a kick out at 2 again. And it just kept, like, building and building. It was crazy.
Okay.
So.
Here's the thing, though. And, like, everything is a comparison to something else. Like, Godzilla is scary until you see King Kong. Like, that kind of thing, right?
Yes.
It's one thing for Obafemi, and I'll steal the Adam Nicholas expression once again. It's one thing for him to toss around Wes Lee like an empty tracksuit.
Yes.
It really is. Because Wes Lee's tiny.
The Meteora into the powerbomb.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen Hurricane Ranas, things like that, but this was another level.
But Wes Lee's tiny, right? So it's understandable. Like, it's understandable in a one-on-one match he could eat Wes Lee's lunch.
Yes.
He really could. Gallus are not small guys.
No.
And he
Coffee's
threw around.
not either.
Well, this is the thing. Like,
Or,
all 3 members of Gallus, I mean.
Yeah.
They're not small guys. And he was chucking around all 3 of them.
Like it was nothing.
And you could see where he did the U-turn, because he went to toss one of them into the steps and didn't realize how close he was to the steps, so he kind of got to like turn him like inward and do like a self-propelled cannonball almost, and then just shove the other one into him.
Less room, yeah.
Because there's less room and whatever. And less room when you've got somebody with the striking distance of an Obafemi does become more of an issue. When Wesley went over the top rope to the outside to hit him with a Hurricane Rana, and he just caught him. He just caught him, like legs around his head, caught him.
Caught him entirely.
Like the way he caught him in the upside down position too. So it's a good thing Wesley didn't crack his head on the floor. But like he could have given him
effortlessly too.
Effortlessly, but he caught him in a Styles Class position almost.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Meteor set up like the perfect knees to head.
But like, and then he power bombs him into Coffey, who goes into the step. The dude is terrifying. It is legitimately
is terrifying.
It legitimately is one of those who, like, you know, when they say, "Oh my God, who can beat this person? Who can beat that person?" Who are you going to have beat Obafemi right now?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, retire the title. We've got one North American champion on NXT again. Just like he's going to do title for title, and you're going to have to do a lot of convincing with me that he can't like destroy Trick Williams at this point.
Yeah, and that's kind of the problem of what they're heading into, is that they get themselves booked into a corner with some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but...
I mean, you get somebody... Like, the next person I would line up for him, because they're presenting him better now, is, as you mentioned before, is Josh Briggs. But they've already done the triple threat with Josh Briggs and Dijak.
Yeah, so it's like...
I mean, unless you want to... I know they want to revisit the thing where Ivar was visiting NXT until he got hurt and got put on the shelf. But like, how long is it going to take for him to be back and ready to go?
How many other opponents can you send down? And how many, that's what I'm saying. So you get locked into it, and that's why I kind of miss some of the days of not hot potatoing the title, but where we used to get a change once a month or twice a month every now and again. And I don't want it to be in every time thing, but now you're getting to the point where like, oh, the belt's not going to change hands because it's not WrestleMania, it's not SummerSlam.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I'm getting back into that, and I'm getting a bit weary of everyone having these massively long runs, and everybody's got to have a streak, everybody's got to be undefeated, everybody's got to. And for some champions, obviously, you want your champions to be booked strong. They should be, but doesn't mean that they have to be infallible and completely invincible either.
But it is a catch. To give WWE a little bit of credit, though, like our criticism of them used to be that they couldn't make stars.
And they couldn't book long term. Now they book long term. We complain that they're not doing too much short term. Yeah, there is a fine line to it. Absolutely.
But can you deny that almost right away they've made, like, Obafemi won the breakout tournament this year?
Oh yeah. Oh, I give them huge credit. They made a new star, and this is what they're. And it's not a foolish move for them. They're doing something smart.
But the biggest problem now is they've made him such a star they don't know who to put against him. Like
exactly.
that's an accomplishment and a problem all at once. Like. I don't know. I'm sure there's somebody that we could come up with, but like right now, the way and the stature that they are presenting Obafemi with right now, who would you even put him up against on the main roster?
I'm sitting here trying to think. Honest to God, I've been sitting here the whole time, been like, Mustafa Ali is gone. Ricochet is going to be gone.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that later too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Rhea Ripley.
I mean, if you want somebody to put the belt over briefly, like if you wanted somebody to come down, beat Obafemi for the belt where it wouldn't completely hurt him in a way, you could do it where like it's a quick roll-up. But you bring in LA Knight, he gets the belt and then can always get taken out by like a heel team from sending them up. You know, he could do something. But I'm having a hard time thinking of anybody that isn't in some program that would be able to be an effective opponent.
You know what I just thought of? And this is totally weird, and I don't know why I thought of it. They're eventually going to be breaking up Alpha Academy, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
If you want to book Babyface Otis as a powerhouse, have him come back down to NXT and beat Obafemi.
Yeah. I
mean, you could have a lot of fun with that. Because just feel like going on a little bit of a detour. You talk for a minute. I'm going to try and pull up the WWE roster and see if I can think of anybody.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was whacking my head against, because going through, everybody that's active right now, anybody that I would probably include, I mean, Carmelo Hayes just left NXT, so it's not great to put him right against
Here you go. Something that would be hilarious. champion versus champion, Obafemi versus Logan Paul.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. But if you're looking to get the belt off and give him this, you know what I mean? And if you're looking for just somebody to beat, Logan Paul is a champion. I don't know if you want to beat him. Yeah. But they could do it.
And see, he's got a mid-card title, and everybody that I'm pulling up right now that I would say, even on the main roster, are already main event guys. Like, I'm thinking of guys like Damian Priest or Drew McIntyre, or even Gunther, who people want to see in, like, a main event title scene now. Like, they've done such a good job, and I want to phrase this in a positive way, and I'm getting repetitive, but, like, they've done such a good job of booking them that they've put them in a Braun Strowman.
Yeah.
Braun Strowman or Bobby Lashley taking on Obafemi would be fun. It would be the Big E special. It would be the big meaty men slapping man meat.
Yeah.
But
no, definitely that's a good one. Braun Strowman, Bobby Lashley. Out of anybody, Otis would probably be the best, like you said, just to get somebody to put
Bronson
over.
Reed maybe would be fun. I don't necessarily know.
Didn't they have a match in NXT?
I think Bronson was already on the
was he already
roster.
He might have been. I think you're right.
Karrion Kross, if they weren't presenting him like a dork right now.
That's one guy they just don't know what the hell to do with. Like,
you know what?
Nothing's clicked so far.
I don't
know how much it's him and how much is just creative.
One guy that we've already talked about tonight, who's in a tag team, but he could go solo for a night. Obafemi versus Luke Gallows.
Yeah, I mean, they could do the one-on-one, or even Anderson. I mean, I prefer Gallows, but...
Yeah, just for the big guy stature and all that kind of thing. But, yeah, I think it was a lot of fun. Femi kills everybody. I don't think Wes Lee loses too much by losing, and like I say, Joe Coffey's going up to the main roster. That's the rumor as of next Saturday, so I don't think anything really matters. Wes Lee got his ass handed to him in the back later on in the night by Gallus as well, so Wes Lee's going to be nice and pissed. I do think, now, again, I don't think it's going to be a very believable thing. Now that Gallus is out of the way, I do think when I get to Heatwave in Toronto, did I mention I'm going? I do think we're going to get the Obafemi Wes Lee one-on-one match in Toronto.
That makes sense.
And Wes Lee better pull off a Rey Mysterio performance if he's going to win that match, is all I'm saying. But, I mean, the guy's a monster. Gallus did their job. I don't know why Gallus gets so much bullshit from people. Oh my God, they're so boring. I don't even want to see them on my screen.
They do get a lot of hate, undeserved.
It's like, but it's that old-fashioned thing of, oh my God, I don't even want this guy on my screen. That's the point.
Yeah, but that's part of it. But sometimes it really does come down to the fact of it's not heel heat, it's go away heat. Yeah. Like right now, people are telling me, "Oh, that's the point. Jericho wants you to boo him. It makes you not want to see him on." No, I don't want to see him get his ass kicked. I want to change the channel. Like, that's the issue. So
see, I love what Jericho's doing, and then AEW fans tell me I'm liking the wrong things.
Hey, if you like it, I can see some reasons why people like it, but it just right now is not for me. And him acting like he's leaning into the joke just shows how sensitive he really is, because all these things are hurting.
Yeah, but is it sensitive, or is it like? And it's
you can tell the fans struck a nerve. The please retire stuff and all that. So he's trying to act like he's too cool for school. Nothing gets to him, but
yeah. No, obviously they're coping with a legitimate reaction that he's getting, but wouldn't it be as arrogant as people say Jericho is to say, "Oh, you're booing me? Cool, I'll make that into my next character trait." Exactly. Good for him in a sense. If Jericho comes back to WWE, I'm gonna laugh a lot. It's gonna be good. No, I love and you and I have said this before, I love the people that will shit on me because I hate AEW supposedly, and then when I like something in AEW, they'll tell you, no, you're liking the wrong parts. Like, I like Jericho, really. I like Sammy, I like the casino battle royal variations that they have that a lot of other people don't like, and it's like, okay, you want me to give your show a chance, and I found some stuff on your show that I like, and now you're telling me that I'm liking it wrong. By the way, eat a dick.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, fuck off, ass.
By the way, fuck off. Screw you guys. I'm going to the Fed. Oh, I'm going to turn that into a sound clip when I'm more awake. So Obafemi kills everybody, and then Gallus kicks the shit out of Wesley, and I'm predicting right now that we're gonna get that again next month. In the meantime, Obafemi is a monster, and I couldn't be happier for the guy. I've said it more than once. It's the fastest. I think it's one of the fastest hype trains I've ever jumped on. Obafemi comes in, kills Dragon Lee for his belt.
Yeah, but here's the thing: Obafemi also sells very well.
He does, yeah.
And he allows himself to look vulnerable, and like he's been, getting taken down slowly and chopped down little by little. As we're, like we said before, some of the other giants we don't get that from, and the crowd responds to him. So,
yeah. Oh, the chant thing that he has, like in his entrance.
Yeah.
And
people like
it. And it's not, pumped in like Sasha Banks.
Exactly. CEO.
Oh God.
My nightmares.
Yeah, he came in, but like he did. He won the breakout tournament. He sort of bitch slapped Lexus King out of the way. He took on Dragon Lee. Absolutely killed Dragon Lee. Power bombed Dragon Lee all the way to the main roster.
Yeah.
And then he's just sort of, like I say, he's just been eating everybody's lunch since, and like, good for him, man.
Absolutely.
It's a bigger conversation because we've had this conversation on the main roster. We've had this conversation in AEW. Like, for so long, little guys in wrestling were like, no, this shouldn't be just for the big guys. It should be for us too. And then you had like your Rey Mysterios and your Shawn Michaels and your Bret Harts and whatever. Those big dumb lugs are soaking up all the spotlight. Now it's our turn. And now you've got this like new wave of what it means to be a big guy wrestler now. Yeah. And I honestly think where WWE has tried a couple of times to have a cruiserweight division and it's always kind of fizzled out, they might be more successful if they develop a superweight division.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Like, look at how much fun when Ivar was healthy. Look at the amount of fun they were having with Ivar, Bronson Reed, Otis.
All the meat matches, yeah.
Even over on the Mud Show there, they were going to have the Meat Madness thing, but everybody on the Mud Show was injured, so they couldn't do it.
They couldn't do it. Everybody was broken in frickin' half thanks to... Oh, God.
Can you imagine if WWE Speed was a super heavyweight title?
Hey, there's been stranger things. And actually, that would kind of make sense. The super heavyweights would take each other out in 3 minutes flat. Like, that makes more sense.
Or like a one-punch knockout.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it would only take the 3 minutes because it's
my God. Quick. Can you imagine?
You just nailed it. You just...
as a dark match... As a dark match on a SmackDown, because we know it doesn't go live on TV, it's only for X. But you're at a live SmackDown taping, and they say, "Oh, here's your WWE Speed match of the evening," and it's Obafemi defending the Speed title against a returning Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, Kofi Kingston could have lost a Speed title to Brock Lesnar, but we don't need to talk about that.
That's its own speedy record.
That's faster than... Remember when they used to do, like Santino Marella lasted 10 seconds in the Royal Rumble?
He lasted 10 seconds. Well, about that. Sorry, but...
Yeah, Kofi Kingston. Everybody got mad because a main eventer beat a mid-carder.
Yeah.
Life is hard.
And the way he did it, too, was just the...
He just went to attack him and he jumped into an F5. Oh, people get mad when reality smacks them in the face.
Oh...
Anyways,
talk about getting hit hard with that one.
Want to talk about hitting hard? Roxanne Perez defending her title against the TNA Knockouts champion Jordynne Grace.
And what a knockout you did there with that transition.
Boom!
I'm telling you, this match, glorious. I really cannot overstate that enough. Like I said, I like that they brought in some of the outside interference to really set up the fair reason for Jordynne losing. So it was a bit of distraction. It was a bit of, outside interference, and also, undermining your opponent. And that's exactly what happened.
But I do like that they saved the nonsense till the end, and we still got a hell of a good match.
They gave you a straight up match for the entire time, and damn, was it a good match! It was
Jordynne
like
Grace
14
looked like $1 million.
minutes. Yeah.
Jordan Grace looks like she's long overdue to be on WWE TV. Not that I want to like steal everybody away from TNA. That's not my point.
No.
But
But
she looks like she's made for that bigger stage. I said it back at the Rumble. Like she came out to the Rumble and she just looked like she belonged there. And look at some of the women that were in the ring at that time.
Maybe it's just because she wants her husband to get a job, you know? I think I'm only kidding, but, you know, wouldn't that be hilarious to find out? Oh, they would have hired her, but she was arguing about, you know.
They would have hired her, but then they found out that she was dating Carlton from Fresh Prince.
Yeah. Aren't they married, actually?
I believe so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's her husband, so that's even scarier.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, Jonathan Gresham's a good wrestler. I'm not going to take anything away from him, but I just don't care.
Yeah, that's another one with just the personality.
It's sort of like you were saying before about like
a boring piece of clay. That's just You know,
no, but you were saying before about Frazier and Axiom, like they're really good, but they're not grabbing you right now, right?
Exactly.
This is a couple steps below that. I know he's a good wrestler, and I don't care.
You just can't get into it, and I can't blame you either.
The thing is, for me, right? Like I like the I mentioned it before, the Heritage Cup, because it's a different kind of match.
Yeah.
The only comparable title to that is the ROH Pure title. And before Tony Khan bought ROH, I was introduced to the ROH Pure title because Jonathan Gresham was defending it in TNA.
Yes.
Under the Pure rules. And I thought it was an amazing concept. And in that particular limited structure, I thought he was very good, but I don't care. He thinks he's an octopus. Okay.
Yeah, because at that time the matches were not great and certain other aspects of it weren't great. So when we got those high octane good matches, it was like, holy shit, let's keep going, baby.
Yeah, but now he's like a goth luchador and he's spitting at people and he's short.
It lost all logic and totally jumped the shark with it. But
okay, I'll say this: the fans at a Destiny show are not always the nicest fans in the world. I'll just say this.
They like what they like, and they're going to tell you about it.
He did one show that I was at for Destiny. I can't even remember who he was wrestling. But the overall idea was that they were calling him a child, calling him a short kid. And the chant that rang out for virtually the whole match was "Past your bedtime."
Oh.
It was really good.
That's a good one. See,
it's past your bedtime.
Can't fight that.
But anyways,
that's a harsh one too. Oof.
But getting back to Jordan Grace, another person.
She looked like $1 million.
Yeah.
She was able to sell, some of the beatdown, but yet she looked strong all throughout. I was very happy how they treated her as a respectable champion here, and thankfully we don't have an issue where somebody outside coming in, we're gonna beat him in 3 seconds flat, a la WCW.
And once again, the NXT crowd just not only welcoming Jordan Grace, but welcoming this, partnership interspersing with TNA.
Yeah,
with such a positive ovation, like switching from the TNA chants to the Jordan's gonna kill you chant and back again.
Hearing TNA chanted in a positive way.
Oh yeah.
Outside of TNA, a TNA chant is usually, as you know, death. So.
I mean, yeah, it is what it is. It's kind of like
that's what I'm saying. So now it no longer has that negative connotation behind it, which is great. I mean, think about how long it's just been a death sentence. People chanted TNA when you did something bad, and everybody wanted you to be, forgotten about, or you did a huge botch moment, something like that. It wasn't a good thing. That's for sure.
I'll give you a fair comparison in a slightly different way. It's like the CM Punk chant. CM Punk was chanted for when he was in WWE. His name was chanted at WWE as a way of saying, you guys are fucking sucking right now.
Exactly.
And then now that he's back, they can use it the right way again. But this is where I get into, you and I talked about it a couple weeks ago. I think NXT, if they're going to do this relationship between WWE and TNA, I think NXT and TNA working together is what makes the most sense. Because in everybody's mind, you've got TNA that kind of got shoved off into the corner, and within the WWE bubble, NXT is kind of shoved off over into the other corner. So they're more similar than people think. And as I said to you off air, like TNA's been around longer than NXT.
Exactly.
And
They
if you
have been
can,
for a long time now.
and if you can get a fan base that is so viciously loyal
Yeah,
as
so dedicated.
as the TNA fans are on board with NXT, it's only going to help NXT. Because
Absolutely.
people that have been with TNA since it was TNA, when it became Global Force, when it was NWA TNA, then it was Impact, and then it was Global Force, and then it was Anthem, and now it's back to TNA again. There's people that have been there through that whole spiel. Like
Through all of it.
when everybody left TNA, when AJ Styles and Samoa Joe and Christopher Daniels and everybody left, the Motor City Machine Guns left, and I jumped off because it was one of those I'll watch it as long as it keeps my attention.
Yeah. And
Literally,
the mass exodus happened, and
Yeah.
what reason did you have to watch?
Yeah, well, literally, people got me to watch it because they said, well, there's a show coming up on Sunday, and the main event is Jeff Hardy and Jeff Jarrett in a ladder match. And,
Yeah.
oh, by the way, the ring has 6 sides. I'm like, well, I gotta check this shit out.
Yeah.
I dipped back in. I got back into it when I realized so many people that I was enjoying at Destiny, check it off your Spaz Phoenix bucket list, it's fine, were part of the Impact roster. That's how I got to know Ethan Page. That's how I got to know Josh Alexander. That's how I got to know Aiden Prince. That's how I got to know Trey Miguel. That's how I got to know all these people, right? But there's people that never had that gap. There's people that were watching TNA when their show was a weekly pay-per-view that are still watching now. If you can get that, like no other company, like ECW might have had that type of loyalty when it was around, but how long was it around? AEW might have that loyalty because they seem to present themselves as the underdog, even though that's bullshit. But if you can turn TNA fans into a fan of your brand, you've got Pitbull fans at that point.
Exactly.
And that's only going to help NXT. It really is. And, I mean, we didn't get any huge announcements tonight, but at some point there has to be an NXT TNA Worlds Collide show.
I'm sure there will be.
That has to be, like, not even as an adversarial thing, but just as a card made up of wrestlers from both shows. That has to be on the horizon. Give me Charlie Dempsey versus Josh Alexander. Give me a Rascals reunion for one night where Wes Lee gets to hang out with his other buddies. Maybe not Zachary Wentz because, he got canceled. But, I don't know, give me Tatum Paxley versus Rosemary. Give me, if you want to do champion versus champion again, or champion versus former champion. Actually, no, current champion. If you did champion versus champion right now, it would be Trick Williams versus Moose.
In Moose, I had thought of that match before. I do like the idea of it, but
that's what, like, the equivalent for the women, what we had tonight, would be Trick Williams and Moose.
Yeah, it would have to be.
You could have right now, if you did your mid card champions, it would be Obafemi versus Mustafa Ali.
And that has history with NXT, obviously, so they could play up off of that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things that they could do at this point.
Anyways, so we had a match, and Jordynne Grace killed her for a while, because she's a monster.
They left enough room for the future, but not to the point where it's like, oh, I don't ever want to see this again, so...
Oh, yeah. But I just like the fact that, like, they told the story that in a fair fight, Jordynne Grace would have killed her. Jordynne Grace started to break down when she started getting cheap-shotted, when she took, like, and they slowed it down. It wasn't just like a poke to the eye. It was like she balled up her fist and, like, really jammed a thumb in her eye. And it, like,
yeah, no kidding.
It looked like they had actually slipped and it had actually happened. So for a minute I was like, sort of whatever, but I mean, I guess that's the sell job. And then she got dropped on her face. So, like I said, the nose and the mouth. If it was both, I'm just thinking, if you can't breathe through your nose and you can't breathe through your mouth, you're gonna have a bad time. It's like we pizza when you're supposed to French fry.
Yeah, exactly.
But even after that, like some of the spots to the outside when Jordynne Grace went to do the powerbomb and Perez turned it into a Rana, and Jordynne basically looked like she spiked herself on the floor.
Yeah,
at one point that was
took her out.
And then, as you say, eventually you get a little bit of chicanery at the end where Tatum Paxley, who just likes belts, came and tried to take the TNA belt, and then she was stopped by Ash by Elegance, who Vic Joseph.
Vic did say Dana Brooke.
Yeah, it's the second slip-up he's had in a couple of weeks, though, because when Ethan Page first came in, he did the whole, hey, doesn't he work for AE? Whoa!
Oh, he said something tonight, too, and Booker T corrected him, and I forgot what it was, too.
Yeah,
I was going to write it down, and I forgot.
Well, he corrected him with the Dana Brooke thing.
No, besides that, yeah,
Okay.
there was another time, and I was like, oh, and I forgot to write it down. But yeah, those two, I like the way they can bicker back and forth like a married couple, but then get right back into it, so...
I don't know. Again, you're getting into people that like just get a lot of shit for no reason. Booker T is way ridiculously, obnoxiously over the top. And and it's awesome.
But it fits for the most part. And, you know, some of the shucky-ducky stuff, it's like, all right, it's a bit much, but it's not hurting anything. And typically it adds to the moment.
It's like Jerry Lawler going through his same 10 titty jokes.
Yeah.
Like, you know you're
These
gonna
are the
get
classics.
it. You know you're going to get it, and that's about it, right? But, no, I think the match was great. I think Roxanne, while the focus was on Jordan Grace, while the focus was on this crossover, while the focus was on, oh my god, this is a TNA star in an NXT ring, low-key, a show-out night for Roxanne Perez as well.
Yeah. Oh, no, you're right.
Because
now she looks like $1 million. There's a way that she can be challenged again by Jordan, so it's not one and done. Thankfully.
Well, as it stands right now, Against All Odds is next Friday, and Jordan Grace has an open challenge.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see who answers that now.
I'm thinking it's either going to be Tatum Paxley, just as a random exhibition type thing, or...
It could be one of the two.
You could go Roxanne Perez, because the whole idea being, hey... It wasn't for your title, but I did pin you. Doesn't that make me the number one contender? And then you get your rematch, and Jordan gets her win back, and then maybe they do a rubber match at maybe Slammiversary.
I mean, something, yeah.
Absolutely. Either Slammiversary or Heatwave. Like, which way do you want the pendulum to swing? If I was TNA, and I'm not trying to be biased here,
and you're not. I thought you were. Don't you lie to me.
But anyways, but you got Slammiversary, which is their big show, and you got. You know, Heatwave coming up, which, as I said, has the potential to house, like, 18,000 people. You want to have a big star on your show, but also you want your star to be in front of the biggest audience. So do you give that title versus title match to WWE? Maybe,
or to TNA, yeah, I know.
Interesting.
I would give it to TNA. I know you would think, why? Less eyes. But I think because it's a WWE product, you're going to get the loyal... subsect of WWE fans that will tune in.
But I think whatever pay-per-view doesn't get that, you could get a weird tag team match out of it. Like you could get, I don't know, Jordan Grace and Ash by Elegance versus Roxanne Perez and Tatum Paxley, and nobody really trusts anybody because Ash by Elegance is by no means a babyface. She's got the arrogant manager, and she's been trying to make her way in TNA, and Tatum Paxley wants everybody's titles, like she's sort of the X Factor, no pun intended. So
I've only seen a little bit by Dana though. Is she better in TNA than she was in WWE, or?
She is. Like, my thing with Dana, and everybody's like, oh, you just like her, she's a Barbie doll. Fuck off. Take your cut and paste arguments from 2020 and put them in the bin.
There's prettier women if that's what you're going for. Not that she's not.
Well, no,
there's
that, but it's like I used to say.
There's more to it than looks.
It's like I used to say about the Bellas until they showed their true colors. Like when the Bellas were at the height of their run, whatever you want to call it, in WWE. No, they were not the best people on the rosters, but the phrase that I always used was assholes on Twitter were calling them ones because they weren't tens, when they were probably like sixes. As far as in ring, right? But like if the standard is 10 and somebody is a 6, call them a 6, but don't call them a 1. And I think that's what happened to the Bellas through the majority of their run. Even now that they're being like obnoxious twats, I will still give them that credit.
A lot of shit, and unfortunately, it was.
Yeah, they're going the Ronda Rousey route. Make half of your money in WWE, and then make the other half of your money bashing WWE. But no, back in that day, in that time, like, and you get other ones as well. You get like your Alexa Blisses and people of that nature who will get accused of being in WWE for other reasons. And it's like, no, they're not. They're not giving you 5 stars in the Tokyo Dome, brother, but they're also not the Shockmaster. So fuck off. So, and Dana Brooke is very much the same way. Every single interview you ever hear about Dana Brooke will tell you, and TNA people are saying it now, WWE and NXT people were saying it before, first person in, last person out, wants to help the ring crew so she can understand that part of the business. Like,
exactly.
She's fine in the ring, and the respect I have for her outside of that will carry me through anything she's doing, is I think the most fair way to say it. But if you put her, who wants a shot at Jordynne Grace, as a tag partner with Jordynne Grace, and you put Tatum Paxley, who nobody really trusts, in a tag team with Roxanne Perez, who's very, very, very self-absorbed, you get a very contentious, like, exhibition tag match on one of the pay-per-views. I think they could play around with that and have a lot of fun. And then you could just have everybody from both rosters getting involved because they both want shots at titles, and you could have a big melee, a big schmoz. Fuck, like at this point, I don't want to belittle the titles, but like have a massive like mini Royal Rumble with both titles on the line or something.
Exactly.
Do like a multi-form thing like TNA does a lot, where it's like a Royal Rumble with all the women from NXT and all the women from TNA, and it's a Royal Rumble until the last 2 competitors, and the last 2 competitors get a chance to climb a ladder and grab both belts. Like, do a little bit of TNA ridiculousness, bring back the Queen of the Mountain match, because the Queen of the Mountain match actually rocks.
not the Battle Royal elimination backwards match.
Oh, the reverse Battle Royal. We don't need to talk about the reverse Battle Royal. We don't.
It's the backwards.
But anyways, like I said, it was a lot of fun. I do think Jordynne Grace is going to get signed by WWE sooner than later.
I would like it if she won. Honest to God, I was slightly disappointed that she didn't win tonight, and I know I kind of set myself up for it, but
yeah.
I kept hoping, like, what a frickin' story. I mean, think about it. Everyone would have went nuts. TNA champ beats WWE title holder, and like that would have been everywhere.
Yeah. Well, it's the interesting result, right? Even if you are a big Roxanne Perez fan and you don't like Jordynne Grace winning the NXT title is the more interesting result. But that's
not the women's title on the main roster either.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? You can keep people from saying, "Oh, you let yourself get beat." Well, it's not our main women's titles, and on top of it, you also get the benefit of the title change causing a media, frenzy.
And who gets most of the credit from that is TNA, because they've got the woman on their roster that achieved that headline.
Yeah, certainly.
Like there's infinite things that could have come out of that result happening tonight, but now more than ever, I don't think that her not winning it closed the door either. So
yeah.
It's sort of a neutral result. It's not the exciting result. We got a hell of a match, and we've opened up a door to a lot of other things. I mean, leave the champions out of it. If we get a random match on TNA that's just Ash by Elegance versus Tatum Paxley, like, that would be fun.
It would be.
Yeah. And the winner of that gets a shot at the TNA championship, and then at Slammiversary you get Tatum Paxley versus Jordynne Grace. And it's like Jordynne Grace is massive and will pound you, but Tatum Paxley's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and it all works out. Speaking of crazy, our last match of the night, All Ego, Ethan Page, the crazy man himself, he comes in, he attacks Trick Williams.
I like his entrance music.
I do as well. I liked his entrance. I liked his music. I liked the whole way they presented both men in the main event.
Yep.
Start off with that big fight feel with the announcements. They really said that Trick couldn't lay a hand on him because he's not a WWE contracted wrestler. So,
they really had to push the idea of, like, why would you hire somebody that rushed into your building and attacked one of your superstars? Like, they had to push the idea that Trick Williams convinced Ava to do it so that he could get his hands on him the right way.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you what you thought of the match first, because I think I have a take that is going to maybe ruffle a few feathers, but I want you to go first.
It was a solid defense for his first title defense as champion. It was a 12-minute match. It was good. I sound so cliche by being like, it never got into that next level, but I feel like it was lacking something. It didn't have that oomph, that drive, that sense of urgency. It was a foregone conclusion that Trick was going to retain the title, so they never really did anything to me to build up the possibility that, hey, Trick might lose here. And since that was never in the realm of possibilities, I really had a hard time buying into the match at all. And that's partly on me, no wonder, but there was other stories throughout the night where I had no issue of that. A lot of this one just came from, hey, you were attacked, and the reason wasn't really anything in particular. It was just, you're the champion, so I targeted you. And that can work, but I feel like that works with someone that's already established. They didn't do a lot to put, all ego up on another pedestal. They just kind of said, he's not hired, but he's from the outside, the ultimate free agent kind of idea. So it was a good match. I feel like it should have been a great match, and we didn't get that. I say that with my large ass sitting in my chair, critiquing these men for being physical for, millions of people.
Yeah.
But no, honestly,
but we're always saying it from that position, right?
Exactly. I mean, this is the thing. It felt like a
We're not shitting on the guys. We're just saying how it came off.
No, but it came off like a developmental main event. It felt like, especially Trick felt green here, and I don't know that Ethan Page was strong enough to be a dance leader and lead the match, and that kind of showed every now and again because they would get a little clunky, and now we also have the problem of, well, he has no challengers lined up, so who faces him going next? And that's kind of a problem AEW suffered from for a long time, and WWE's NXT has suffered from recently, I want to say. As before, I think they usually had somebody in line, or at least somebody built up that could step in. Right now, who's going to go for the title?
I see, but I think they sort of did something with that, and this is something I meant to give Ethan Page credit for last week. Like, right in his promo when he was basically trying to boss Ava around, he's like, and he basically, in a storyline way, kind of hit on what you said. You just lost 8 of your top stars to the main roster. You need me. I thought that was such an interesting, explanation for why did he strike now? He struck now because he saw NXT as having a weak roster because they just lost. I thought that in and of itself, that one little page in the book, was such an interesting wrinkle to put into it.
And you're not wrong. It really genuinely, like you said, the wrinkle shows.
Okay, so 2 things I want to say about this match. First of all, and what I think is positive, we just finished saying in the last match, Jordan Grace, the wrestler from another company, was greeted wholeheartedly by the fans, welcomed in, not treated like an outsider, because that's old dickhead WWE fan mentality. No, it's awesome that you're here. We love that you're here. We're going to chant TNA. She was absolutely welcomed as an outsider. Absolutely. Now, Ethan Page is an in-story invader, and he was treated like the outsider, even though we know in real life that he's actually signed with NXT. Yeah. So I think it was a really cool crowd for registering what an actual outsider is, which is awesome, and this storyline outsider that we're supposed to boo for being an outsider. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a really cool thing. Credit to the crowd for that. Credit to how everything was presented, and to do that with those matches being right back to back was such a clear no, we're smart fans, we know the difference, we're going to show you that we know the difference. I thought that part of it was cool. The amount of boos, they used the old Bianca Belair thing of you don't even go here a lot, exactly, in the crowd, and I thought that was so. The difference between this match and the last match, just as far as that goes, is really, really cool in my opinion, and that's the sort of atmosphere you can get from an NXT crowd and a smaller crowd in general. So it's the only time I really thought that having the smaller crowd was
beneficial. Yeah.
As for the match itself, this is kind of a good thing and a bad thing, but it felt like these guys couldn't find their chemistry between the two of them, right?
I get that.
But at the same time, and the positive side of that is they both kind of knew that they weren't finding their chemistry, and I felt like they were both willing the match on anyway. And in a really weird way, that drew me into the match more. They were struggling against an obvious lack of chemistry, but they were so willing to try and make it into something. Like, they were going to push it forward. They were going to make it happen. And that was the feeling I got. And I've never quite seen a match that made me feel that way. So I think
I get that.
Based on, like, they were willing it into existence when it just wasn't there. And I found that really intriguing. It didn't change the fact that a lot of it was really awkward, but sometimes stuff being awkward or sometimes things not being perfect and crisp and whatever can make a match better. This wasn't that. This was those guys experiencing every bit of this isn't working and this isn't working and this isn't working, but keep going. Don't stop. Keep going. We're going to get something out of this. And while it didn't make it good, it made it very intriguing for me, and thus I was drawn into the whole match. So,
which makes good sense.
But I don't know whether that's a good thing or not. So it's a very intriguing. Was I invested? Yes. Was I invested more as the match went on? Yes. Is it because the match was good? Probably not.
Probably not.
But it did make me want to see more of Ethan Page.
Absolutely.
And I've hypothesized that once he has one or two runs at the World Champion and sort of settles into where his actual place is going to be in NXT, which I'm pretty sure is going to be the mid-card, which is fine. I kind of want to see a tag team of him and Shawn Spears.
That would be ideal, especially with Shawn having nothing to do.
Especially for Toronto. Yeah. Did I mention I'm going?
Not yet.
By the way, I'm going to Heatwave. Money in the Bank.
You going to SummerSlam in what, 2018, right? With the Fiend, or is that 2019?
2019, yes.
Yeah.
With the Fiend reveal when he snapped off Finn Balor's head. And I was also at the Survivor Series where Goldberg and Brock Lesnar was not good.
Not at all.
Not good. I tell the story of that. Literally, one of the people that I met through doing YouTube, shout out to James, who's over in the UK, really, really big Goldberg fan, and he said, if you're at the show and you're going to be seeing Goldberg and Brock Lesnar, can you video his entrance for me? And I did, right? But I was there with my sister-in-law's sister and her boyfriend at the time, and in the time it took me to take the video of the entrance and then flip through my messaging and send the video to James, the whole match had happened. So I missed it.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I missed the whole match. It was really good.
What match was it?
It was Goldberg Brock Lesnar.
Oh, that's right. When they had
that was the one where who was it? It was one of them was on the cover of the video game that year, and all the commercials had Lesnar versus Goldberg footage on them.
Yeah,
so they
with Goldberg riding the police van and all that shit.
Basically, they did the match to sell the video game, and it was hysterical.
Yeah, that's right. I kept thinking that was Mania, not SummerSlam.
The funny thing was, as we were leaving the arena, I was on Twitter, and the hashtag that was trending was, longer than Goldberg Lesnar. So everybody could be like, oh, my boyfriend and I lasted longer than Goldberg and Lesnar. My sports team's title reign lasted longer than Brock Lesnar and Goldberg.
Yeah. I mean, that was a minute 40 or whatever. Yeah, crazy.
But yeah, no, I said it in my preview, and I think I said it to you at some point over the course of this evening. It was really hard for me to watch this show tonight and not use every match on this card to project what am I going to see when they come to Toronto.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
what are you going to get?
It's Kelani Jordan, but what's the match going to be in Toronto? It's still Roxanne Perez, but what's the match going to be in Toronto? It's still Trick Williams, but what's the match going to be in Toronto?
Yeah. It's awesome that you got the Heat Wave and then,
Money in the Bank as well.
Exactly, so back to back.
I would love somebody.
See, that's smart. 2 shows, sometimes even 3.
It is 3.
AEW
SmackDown
is doing,
as well.
That's what I'm saying. So WWE is not overselling it's just one weekend. Dynamite and Collision are going on this tour, and they're selling 6 shows in one
Texas,
building.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Are people buying 6-packs of
In
tickets?
Arlington, Texas, 6 collisions. Well, actually 5 collisions and 1 Ring of Honor. All at the same
Oh,
venue.
right, because they have a pay-per-view coming up, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
God.
the road to All In as well. So.
Oh, God. Yes, the road to All In the UK is going to be 6 weeks in Texas.
Exactly.
Because Texas
Brilliant.
and the UK are so inextricably linked.
They figured that out well, you know?
Oh, God. Why don't they go, like... I know it's different because it's in the middle of the week, it's on Wednesday, but, like, look at what they're doing with all WWE's international shows. Like,
Yeah. Well,
Scotland
they can still do something that and move it around.
Scotland is getting SmackDown and Clash at the Castle. We're getting SmackDown, Money in the Bank, and Heatwave.
There's a lot of great things coming from this.
Yeah, it's almost like when back in the TakeOver days when you could get the whole like SmackDown, whatever the NXT show was, whatever the pay-per-view is, and Raw as like a 4-pack. And it's just like, okay, just don't talk to me for the next 4 days. I'm going to be living at Scotiabank Arena. It's fine. But that was also back in the day where SmackDown sold so poorly, I got moved from the 300s to the 100s. So I should be careful what I wish for. And I sent you and you're Jake. I sent you and Joe the video so you guys could do the time to lay the tarps gimmick there.
He played the whole thing. I remember that. That's funny.
All right, so we got a couple more minutes. I want to hit something on you really quickly. First of all, Cody's coming to NXT this week.
I know. I'm excited for that. What do you got for my last question before I pass out on you? I go
very, very quickly. It has nothing to do with tonight's show. It seems there's sort of an unofficial trade happening between WWE and AEW. It feels like we're getting Penta for Ricochet.
It seems like that's what's going to be happening. I'm okay if hey, they're going to do it. Ricochet has kind of accomplished all he can as his current iteration.
He's not even the Speed Champion anymore.
No, so that was a speedy reign. They've got to go ahead.
The matches are 3 minutes, and you only get to hold the title for 3 weeks.
That's it. 3 days.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah, we're making this short. House shows count now.
Oh God!
And what kills me is, like you said, it's like, all right, sure, you're going to go ahead and have the same champions, fine. But if you're not making it worth the while, what's the point? So,
yeah.
But
Penta and
unofficial
WWE
trade, I like the idea of Penta because it's something new. Cornette always says, "How can we miss you if you won't go away?" Well, it's somebody new entirely, and then Ricochet, hey, yeah, go to a different company, and you could do flips with Will Ospreay.
But here's the thing, right? And I will always say, like, as much as I shit on AEW, there are people that they have introduced me to that I will always give, like the Darby Allins and the MJFs and the Lucha Brothers and a bunch of other people, right? If you want to say that AEW is the more wrestling oriented company and WWE is more of the, like, bang for your buck presentation, big fireworks, big stadium, big spectacle, right?
Yeah.
How good do you think WWE's presentation of Penta is going to be?
Yeah, because what they've done recently with the camera changes, you're getting one guy out there with a gimbal rig that is going ahead and basically filming the action from commercial to commercial without cutting to any other camera. He walks around the ring, he gets up on the apron, he goes down the stairs, he walks around the other side, he turns to the fans, he turns back. All one continuous cut.
Never mind the drone shots of those nice full buildings.
Exactly. So they're doing the drone shots, the 360 shots, the ones from backstage, not having 500 camera cuts.
That one cool one that Jey Uso walking all the way out of the ring and Sami Zayn walking all the way in, especially in Montreal.
Yep, CM Punk going into the arena at Hartford and walking all the way through and arriving. And,
CM Punk getting locked in WWE headquarters.
And then Drew did the same thing, but he was able to get out because he's not an idiot, he said, and he was making fun of him. And it was, again, they have this great feud without ever fighting yet. These are the things that make the wrestling what it is. So I'm excited.
But here's my add-on, right? Because I'm the NXT guy, right? AEW gets Ricochet, fine, cool, hope he does well, hope he has another, like, suck my dick fest with Will Ospreay, it's fine. WWE gets Penta. I add one more thing to that trade. NXT gets Rey Fenix.
Oh yeah, I would love to see the brothers come in together. They could be
I
a
would
tag
love
team
them to
at
both come
points
over. I
and
want them to come
singles.
in as individual guys, though.
Yeah,
Because I enjoy
they,
them better as individual guys. That's just me. That's just my how I
and I
take
do like them as a tag team better, but I get what you're saying, and the thing is that you can have both worlds there, though. You could absolutely have him in NXT as a single, and then main roster as a tag, and vice versa, or they can even do one-offs of tagging, or they could just keep them singles entirely. I mean, there's a lot of options.
I'm just saying, like one new guy on NXT that we talked about earlier on in the pod, feels like forever ago now, Javon Evans.
Yes.
Give Javon Evans a match with Rey Fenix. I'm just saying.
Hey, it would be good. I'm all for it.
Damian Priest versus Penta.
There's a lot of matchups we can get.
Okay, and I'll be fair. On the other side of the coin, Ricochet versus Kenny Omega. Ricochet versus Darby Allin.
Yeah.
Ricochet versus Sammy Guevara if he ever is allowed to have a job again. Ricochet versus Daniel Garcia.
There's a ton of people that on both sides they could have this awesome fight with. I mean, really, it doesn't end. It's almost limitless. And that's the thing.
Rey Fenix goes to NXT, but he's involved in the crossover with TNA, and we get Rey Fenix versus Crazy Steve.
Now you're talking.
Who's like jacked as fuck now and not a small dude anymore.
Is he? Oh, I'll have to check
He's
that out.
jacked as hell. He was their what do you call it, digital media champion for a little bit, but he's become an asshole, but he's also like jacked and not like the scrawny little painted up guy that he used to be.
That's funny.
Yeah, it is. Anyways, that was one little thing that I wanted to tie on the end here. This was a show. It gave us some stuff to talk about. Not quite as many surprises as we thought. I thought there was going to be further announcements about the TNA crossover.
I really did as well. You and I both thought there was going to be something major happening.
But it means there's more announcements to come.
Exactly.
It really does lead me to wonder what Cody Rhodes is coming to NXT to announce on Tuesday.
Yeah,
we will have to wait and see, and I will await the oh my god, NXT is cheating by putting a WWE champion on a WWE television show. They're trying to beat Dynamite. Okay, cool. Who's not allowed to be on Dynamite? Everybody's allowed to be on Dynamite. Can you suck my cock?
Yeah, exactly. But they forget that, real quick.
Oh, they slipped in the mud. The mud flaps. Anyways, we're both delirious now. This is awesome. Tell them where to find you, because I got to wrap this up.
You can find me on the interwebs, on YouTube, on The Joe Cronin Show, or on Twitter at Countdown Ended.
Twitter working yet?
Not yet, but...
All right, well, we have to check in every time. And you guys know where to find me, or you wouldn't be here. I've been Spaz. This has been Super Sexy Jake DeMarco. We are your, in this case, NXT Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to you right now.